Welcome to the Discovery Doc podcast, where we advocate for optimal wellness and reducing everyday toxic loads, no matter where life takes you. I'm Dr. Cece, doctor in nursing practice, self-proclaimed toxin tamer, and a crunchy mama.
I'm Anna Kate, a medical mystery overachiever and your discovery liaison. Join us on this exciting journey as we explore the world of holistic health, cutting-edge research, and practical solutions for a healthier life. Together, we'll navigate through the complexities of wellness, sharing valuable insights and expert advice.
Tune in to the Discovery Doc podcast. Get ready to be inspired, empowered, and discover a whole new way of looking at your health.
Welcome back to the Discovery Doc podcast. I'm here with your host,
Dr. Cece, functional medicine nurse practitioner, self-proclaimed toxin tamer, and crunchy mama at this point 4. Yes, it's February. Hopefully 4. Hopefully he's come out by then.
Yeah.
And my co-host.
I'm Anna Kate, your medical mystery overachiever and discovery liaison. And we are back with part 2 of all things birth and babies and all the wonderful things with the wonderful Miss Ann Margolis.
Made the miss again.
Don't worry about it. Ann Margolis.
That's the language in Atlanta.
Yes. If you guys,
you don't want me to put on my Philly accent because I'm from Philadelphia.
No one will be able to.
We don't pronounce T's over there, and the O is yeah.
And then mix that with my original Chicago accent, and we would just be no one would listen to this.
Water. Yeah.
But anyways, we're back with Ann. If y'all missed part 1, please go back and listen to it. There's so many good things that we talked about. Ann is a certified nurse midwife, practices holistically. She is the owner of Home Sweet Home Birth. That is not just for home births, but for mamas across the board who just want to deliver in their empowerment, kind of their way. And so we want to continue the conversation. There was one other little myth I wanted you to debunk for us in labor, I should say. And that is so simple, but eating and drinking.
Yeah, that is simple. If you ask any athlete, like running the marathon or any athlete, they have hydration and nourishment station, power nourishment throughout the whole run, or throughout whatever they're doing, right? So the uterus, it is a lot of work to give birth, to be in labor and to give birth. The uterus is a muscle working very hard and needs hydration and nourishment. And that myth was based on years ago. If a mom needs general anesthesia in labor, aspirate for an emergency cesarean general anesthesia, and then aspirate the food into her lungs, and that's a serious life-threatening situation. Well, first of all, anesthesia is so much safer today than it was when that opinion came out. And also during a cesarean, even if it's an urgent cesarean, a lot of times can be done under epidural. But that being said, there is such research coming out that a mom needs to eat and drink in labor. That is where the research is. There's no research that a mom should fast. And so aside from what a no athlete trainer would ever, or any athletic organization would ever recommend not drinking and eating during, I'm talking about power food, nourishing food during whatever they're doing, same thing as a birth. So then I get this, well, what if she hemorrhages? You need to have IV access in there. Well, no, you need to have a good nurse who knows how to get an IV in very quickly so that, if there is a hemorrhage, like there's this mentality that goes down to the basic difference between how most obstetricians are taught and nurses are taught that what if this goes wrong? What if this goes wrong? So we have to do this, that, and this. But the vast majority, everything goes right. So that's where the midwives come in. We come to this whole conversation that the body knows how to give birth. So if the body knows how to give birth, how can we best support that woman in labor and birth? So she needs to eat and drink. She needs to eat and drink. And we need to encourage her to eat and drink a lot, often. But yeah, if if she's vomiting and she's having a long labor and she's getting dehydrated and I'm very glad that I'm skilled at putting in an IV fluids for her if she's really getting dehydrated and she's not laboring well. But I'm talking about the healthy, normal labor. A mama needs to eat and drink. So if you're in a hospital setting, you need to sneak the food and the good quality, nourishing food and hydrating salts and sugar, fruit juices and coconut water and miso soup broths and all that.
It's crazy that I have to sneak the food for my second baby.
Well, you could say I'm going to be eating and drinking. You could do that. They can't force you.
When I was younger, so I had my son. I had in Florida, and my midwife at the time, I was in a hospital birth, and I was doing a VBAC, and she was like, "Hey, have your husband go get some food and bring it back, but you have to don't get anything pungent where the nurses can smell it. Hide it. I could get in trouble."
Well, he can eat.
And I was like, oh my gosh, wait. And it made it this fear-based
thing.
And I remember saying oh, my midwife is letting me eat. Oh, she's letting me get food. And I was like now I look back on that and I'm like, that is
she should be encouraging you to get food. Yeah.
What do you mean that they're letting me eat and I have to hide it from the rest of the hospital?
It's crazy. And we accept this as the hospitals are not, they're not your police. They're not institutions of authority over your body. You actually medically and legally, you have authority over your body and your baby, medically and legally, unless you're, abusing your baby. But I'm just saying, you have a right to your autonomy, and they have a legal right to support that.
Right.
The doctors. But what we go in thinking, they need to let me or they don't allow, and any kind of language like that.
I have to do.
No, but when you're in a vulnerable situation, which labor is, yes, you are going to find your power and you're going to birth, but it is a vulnerable situation. That's why throughout history, women supported women. We weren't birthing alone; we were birthing with support, and so that you might need support in that situation. That's not a time when you sometimes in labor when someone says you can't do something because what if we have a hemorrhage? I mean, you're going to be, of course you don't want a hemorrhage and not be revived. I mean, but so it's unfortunately a culture that people have bought into and have surrendered their power.
Yeah.
Unbelievable how that's happened.
Absolutely. And then I think also kind of piggybacking off of that a little bit is the power has been stripped so much during pregnancy and delivery, but then also postpartum. Postpartum, all the focus goes to baby, and my pediatric side understands that and assessing baby, making sure baby is okay. But we have completely forgotten that mom needs to heal and the proper way of healing. So I want to give you the floor a little bit for that with what are some of the things that you are teaching your patients or your clients for that postpartum period to be prepared for it the best that they can?
Well, yeah, it's the forgotten fourth trimester, which we alluded to. So I encourage them. This is a discussion we have in pregnancy. This is on my course for the online community, but in summary, I want them to realize that throughout the world, there's different traditions, but basically, at least for the first month, maybe more, women are really encouraged to stay in the house. They're not allowed out. I mean, or they're just off. They are off from childcare of the older siblings. They're off from work. They're off from errands and cooking and cleaning. They're, with the other women in the community and friends and family are taking over this because their priority is to heal and their priority is to get the breastfeeding. And that's it. Right. So we live in the West, and unfortunately a lot of us are not in a community like that. We don't have that. So I like to take them in pregnancy and talk about how can we support you in postpartum. We have to create that now. Do you have anyone in your church? Like some people say, my mom, my family lives out of state. They can't come. They're working, or my mother can't take off work, or I don't want my mother around. She makes me tense, or not. My mother-in-law makes me tense. But some people say, okay, I'll take out we need support. So she is off duty, at least for the month. 6 weeks I'll take, but I'm happy if I get the month. Sometimes I'll get 2 weeks. I'm like, nope, we need a month. So okay, mother-in-law can come in for the week. That's awesome. And my mom can come in for the week. That's awesome. Not the same week. We have to take 1 week. That's mom going to come, mother-in-law come the other week. And now we have to look at so the 4 things: child care. So if it's her first baby, she doesn't have to worry about that. But it's the care of the older siblings is huge because a mom that just gave birth, she's got to get the breastfeeding. Her nipples might hurt. Her uterus, she's bleeding. Her uterus needs to contract around the major blood vessels that were supplied in the placenta. We don't want to, women that aren't supported and enabled and encouraged to heal in this way have higher rates of all kinds of illness and physically and mentally, postpartum depression, anxiety, all that kind of stuff. So, I take this very seriously, and so how are we going to do this? So let's say someone says they, okay, the dad can take or their partner can take off for 2 weeks. Great. Okay, so we'll make a calendar, and so can dad do clean? So who's going to do? We look at each thing: cleaning, errands, meal preparation, and childcare. So sometimes someone will say, "Oh, he can't clean." All right. Can we think of hiring someone to clean? I mean, I don't want. It's not on your. I don't want it to be on your plate to be cleaning, right? So some people might say I can't afford it. All right, we'll put that on your registry to have a little maid cleaning service, something that comes once a week or whatever, whatever, just so that it's not on her plate. My mom's coming, but she can't cook. Just can't cook. Okay. Do you have anyone in your church group? Do you have anyone in are you in any group? Synagogue, mosque, homeschooling moms, prenatal yoga class? No. Okay, well, let's form some groups. So I want you to connect with other moms in pregnancy. La Leche League is a great group. They're international, and you can almost a lot of communities have La Leche League. There's positive birth groups, there's prenatal yoga. I mean, just connect with other moms.
Creating that
because other moms, you need to create your community, and so it's really cool. Like in my practice, for example, this was an idea that came from a mom who absolutely had nobody. She was just alone. And she didn't know anyone having a home birth. She felt so alone. So she wanted to connect to other moms. So I said, I know what I could. She says, do you have other moms in your? I said, I know a lot of home birthing moms. How do I connect to it? So I said, you know what? We figured this. I said, I'm going to put out an email that I'm going to ask every single mom in my practice, because I have a list, a group list of all the moms in my practice. I'm going to email. And anyone that allows me to give out their name and contact, they're gonna give me permission, and I'm gonna create a list. For her, at just that time, I got 3 pages of a Word document of moms, and it was so much that list grew and grew and grew and grew. It became that people made friends through it. I started to organize it by neighborhood. And they shared maternity clothes. People donated breast milk. There was a woman who had cancer postpartum, and everyone was donating. This was before donor milk banks. People gave breast milk. They had chicken pox parties. So I'm just saying, you can ask, if your midwife and your doula or the childbirth community in your area might know of moms groups. They're coming back. We had them big here. I used to lead them. I had reunions once a year. Moms in my practice already, are connecting with each other since that time. But I'm just saying that I know childbirth educators and doulas that have mom groups, positive birth groups, and holistic moms, for example, baby wearing groups. Right. So moms understand moms. Moms who had babies know what postpartum's like. And it hits you like a train wreck if you're not prepared for it. So I want you to prepare for it in the pregnancy so that you're so well supported, so that it's not off, so that it's just not on your plate.
Right.
And another thing that comes up is that mom is not liking mom is whatever not liking how the mother-in-law is dealing with
Right.
the sibling issues or with the housework. You need to work on letting go of that.
Yeah.
Obviously, if there's a harm or abuse going on, that's different. But I'm saying, she's not handling it in the way that you would handle it. You just need to let that go, because you need to, that your first priority, if you can't recover and be a mom and be a healthy human being, then it all goes out the door, right? You can't be there for anybody, your children, including your baby. So that has to be, I really emphasize that, so in the pregnancy, we make sure before we're even term, that there's a setup in place.
Right.
And you can put on your registry, postpartum doula. People want to have a registry now. Cleaning services.
Of all the things you'll ever use.
Food. No, do you know? No, but you need it, because postpartum, I don't want you cleaning.
Right.
Right. And if dad is cleaning, it might not be and if your partner's cleaning, it might not be the way you're going to clean it, but you're going to need to that's what your work is, to let that go and just allow yourself to have that time of being off from that. And the lack of sleep and the hormone changes and nipples and the nipple soreness and if you tore, or just the vaginal perineal sore. I mean, there's just so much going on. And then plus the lack of sleep day after day. I mean, after a while, right? So then I help people in terms of, what do they tell their friends? Everyone wants to come and bring balloons, or newborn clothes or stuffed animals, right?
Bring from mom.
Yeah.
Bring something for mom.
No. You know what they can bring? They can bring meals for a week.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, we need to reorient, because that baby's going to grow out. Sometimes babies nowadays are born, they're already out of newborn clothes.
Yeah.
And the babies don't play with stuffed animals. My dog will, but the newborn, so, and balloons. Right. So we need to reprioritize. What does mom need? Maybe mom needs a cleaning service for a month to come once a week. That can be in the registry.
That's better than binky.
It is.
What?
It's true.
Having a cleaning service is better than any baby binky that's on the registry.
Oh my gosh, they come in the house and in 2 hours your house is spotless. I mean, it's a heavy cleaning. I remember once I was visiting a mom postpartum, and I tell people all this stuff, but that doesn't mean they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I came to the house. I was doing a postpartum visit. It was day 4, and the mother was looking horrible. She had a house full of company, and she was in the kitchen holding a baby that was crying, and she was trying to make food. And I'm like, I came in and I got really bossy. She went in her room and she started sobbing to me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Like something was wrong with that picture, you know? So we gotta, we gotta prevent that from happening postpartum.
I think the other part too is managing expectations for how long it takes your body to heal postpartum. Because I had, for instance, I had a patient a couple months ago who was only 6 weeks postpartum, and she had already been sent to hematology because her H&H was low, because her hemoglobin was low, hematocrit was low, and they were so worried that she was looking this anemic. And I'm like, you're not even 6 weeks postpartum. It can take 6 months for your red blood cells to reflect back to a pre-pregnancy state. So how can you help support women in just managing their expectations postpartum with how long it takes for your body to heal?
It's it's way longer than you expect.
Yeah.
Because 6 weeks postpartum is a medical terminology that was given to when the body no longer physically looks pregnant. So the uterus has returned to non-pregnant size. That does not mean your vagina and your perineum feel like it's ready to have sex yet. Intercourse, I'm talking about. That does not mean that you are ready to go back to work full time. Mm-hmm. Because you're still not sleeping completely. You have a 6-week baby who is still. I mean, I'm saying, even if you're, I'm talking to most. How do we get into this? Most of, I would say 99.9% of the moms in my practice breastfeed. breast milk is the ideal milk to give the baby. If there is an issue, I always, first time moms or people that have had issues, I always encourage them to have lactation consultants, IBCLC, practitioners on board, just in case, just to make sure get the breastfeeding go well. But there are options if breastfeeding is a real issue for that mom, and the options include pumping and feeding pump breast milk. There's now donor milk bank, because there is every organization and all the research, it does show that breast milk is the best food for the baby, the ideal food for the baby. I am grateful, because I know this is a controversial subject, if they can't get those things, or a wet nurse. I have wet nursed babies before, like friends of mine, but wet nurse means that I'm nursing someone else's baby. That's what used to be done. That's what the kings and queens used to do. Not the kings, the queens, the aristocracy used to do. But and they do it in all kinds of throughout history. If a mom couldn't nurse, there would be someone else available who was nursing, that would nurse the babies. But we do have organic. I'm grateful we do have formula, but we have to. It's better to feed formula than no food, but breast milk is the ideal food for a baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not into shaming anyone who can't get access to donor milk, and so I'm grateful for. And if you're going to do formula, goat milk is preferable, because it's more similar to and tolerated, than cow milk. But all right. That being said, what were we talking about?
We digress.
I digress. That was a digression, but I had to say it, because a 6-week mama, a 6-week postpartum breastfeeding, even if she's formula feeding, it's still, she's getting up in the middle of the night, her sleep is off, right? Emotionally, she is not completely. It takes a while to psychologically return to your to your new non-pregnant self, which is called your new mama self.
Yeah.
And it's just it's considered a major change in life to have a baby. It takes a village to grow a new baby and new parents. So you need to honor that. If a lot of these modern, I don't know what generation X we're in or whatever, if we think we can just go back to being, we can just Zoom, we're working remotely. So we can just go back to work and just, get back to the brain wants to do things maybe, but the body's like, You have to listen. And so in pregnancy, I encourage people, that's a skill that's honed in pregnancy, is to listen to your body, because you're non-pregnant, you're first time mom, and you want to do 10, you have 10 things that you want to accomplish in this hour. And your body's like, I think we're just going to do one.
Yeah.
I don't need you, right?
You need to listen to that.
You have to listen to that, right?
Yeah.
And it's not a failure. You have a huge job right now growing your baby. So if your body can only do one, we have to listen to your body, not what your brain is saying you need to do 10.
And
so
not what
that
social media is saying either. Because I think social media has created this huge bounce back culture of here's a mom that's 4 weeks postpartum. They're already in the gym. They're doing this. And I'm like, why don't we change that to the mom who's on her couch, resting with her baby, having skin to skin, breastfeeding.
That's the best thing you could be doing. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. Instead of this bounce back culture.
That being said, people are telling me economically they don't have the choice. They have to go back. That's so sad, because in Norway and Sweden and a lot of European countries and in Japan, women are not required to go back to work. Their paid leave is much longer than in the United States. So that's really sad. So, I really feel bad about that, but that is a reality I have to acknowledge. And, whatever you can do to support yourself, if you have to go back, I am very lenient on my disability forms, that we can extend disability and get paid leave longer than 6 weeks is cruel.
Yeah, it is. And other countries have paternal leave too, leave for
Yes, and I just attended a birth not long ago where the dad was on he got paid paternal leave. I'm like, in the United States, isn't that cool? So that I wish I could remember that company. I could ask him, but unfortunately it's not the norm yet. But he got a paternal leave, because my son told me when he had my grandbaby that he was so not ready to go back to work. He didn't even have the baby. He had to go back. They gave him, I think, 3 weeks, and he just wasn't ready. Mom, how can I extend? But you know, it's a big deal for the partner too. It's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, they're wanting to stay up
and he's a very helpful dad. He's a very involved dad. It's just how he was raised. That's who he is. But what were you saying?
And the dad is up taking care of mom and baby while mom is taking care of baby while she's taking care of herself. Like, that's a full-time job in and
but
of
not
itself.
always.
Right.
Not always. Like my so I can only tell you. So I've had moms that the dad did not get such a long paternity leave, and like here's my daughter. Her husband is a full-time, has hard working hours as a cardiologist, and he did not get a long leave, and she didn't want to wake him because he couldn't function at work.
Right.
So that was in her mindset. So that was just how they had to fight. Whereas my husband, he was going to get up with me because I had insomnia. I couldn't fall back asleep. So I had.
I'm like, hey.
Yeah, he was going to change the diaper. Yeah, change the diaper and burp the baby and do anything and just give me the baby to breastfeed. And that was how we functioned, because he could go right back to sleep. Like he could sleep in a noisy train station, daylight, in a chair, just like. But I can't. So I was just, I have to go to sleep because the baby's getting up in a couple hours. I have to go to sleep. And, so everybody's different, right? But I certainly don't think 6 weeks is sufficient time to have to go back to regular functioning.
Are you taking 6 months?
Especially after a vaginal birth. Cesarean's even longer. They're saying cesarean birth 3 months. I don't even think that's long enough. But that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah, not at all. And it's not even, you're not even guaranteed, even if you have a great job, you're not, like one of my past jobs, they quote gave me 7 weeks off, but I was paid for 2 of those. And luckily we were able to make ends meet, but not
everybody can.
Right. That was for a private practice, so they're not even obligated to pay you for that 6 weeks.
Right.
And it's just mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing.
And it really deserves that postpartum period where you feel so pressured to get back to work, to get back to what you're doing, instead of fostering that time with your child that you just birthed.
Right.
Wow. And it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, crazy. And I, so I can only, the health profession eats their young, mine included. So I gave birth to my 4th baby, and I had pressure to return to work very soon after. It was like, I went back part-time, but I'm like, how dare you? You know what it's like.
Yeah. I went back in nursing school. I went back to clinicals 10 days after having a C-section.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's right. So anyway,
That's wild. But
as much as you can protect that, as much as you can tell people in advance, and have visiting hours, designated visiting hours, and some people like to not even have visiting hours at all. They like to take that first 2 weeks and it's just for us, and whatever works for you. But you really need to protect, so just let's say a few hours in a day. We would love to see people if they bring dinner or if they take out the garbage, however you want to word it, or have a little sign on your door or an automatic message on your text or something like that. But to really create boundaries, and the boundaries are essential for everybody. Mom is not healthy, no one's healthy. Mom is not happy, no one's happy. So that's the priority. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, any other last minute thoughts before we wrap up? We want to honor your time. We know you got to get going. But any last minute thoughts?
I do have to work. I haven't.
There's mamas that need your attention, and that's okay.
Got to get back to it. And then remind our community, please, where they can reach you as well.
So, honor the postpartum with your life. I'm telling you, you won't regret it. You will not regret it. And if you are someone who knows someone having a baby, honor their postpartum. So think of how you can really support a postpartum mom, right? So I would say, think of maybe you can help take care, with the cleaning, with the, paying for that, or meals for a week, or even a meal for a dinner, or something like that, errands. Can you do some errands? Can you pick up some things for them? And, that, or maybe contributing with other people to hire a postpartum doula to give mama a little nurturing, anything that you could do to help them. That's the priority postpartum. You want to see the baby, that's great. But honestly, the baby it's not a great idea for everyone to be holding the baby anyway in the beginning. And it's the mama who needs the most attention. Who needs the attention? The baby needs mom's attention.
Yeah.
And if the baby can't get mom's attention, it needs the partner's attention. But that's who only can really provide. Breast milk comes from the mom. Pumped breast milk can be given by other people, but baby really shouldn't be, for the first few months, be held by a lot of people anyway, right? So intimate circle, yeah. But that's the best way to really help that family, is to provide for the essentials, those essential, those 4 essentials in the beginning.
Beautiful. Tell us one more time.
Reach me. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what you were going to say?
Your website and your Instagram. Yeah.
Right. No, because I remember you said that. So website is homesweethomebirth.com. And on there you'll find my online guide to pregnancy, birth, postpartum that includes preparing for postpartum and pregnancy. It's huge. Don't just wait till postpartum and start, be in it and look for help then. That's not where you need to arrange that ahead of time, right? To set yourself up for the support that you need, as we have done throughout the world for thousands of years of helping mamas postpartum. It takes a village, so, to help moms and new parents. Mom is helping baby. The couple is helping the baby. And, it has my book, Natural Birth Secrets, which has a lot of the natural modalities that you can use. Specifically, it has a lot of things, but I'm talking about right now postpartum. Like, what can you do for the nipple soreness? What can you do for your fatigue and insomnia? What can you do for your mood swings? And what are signs of postpartum depression and anxiety? And what do you do for that holistically? What's normal bleeding? What happens to my body postpartum? What's it doing, actually? It's all in there in the book, Natural Birth Secrets, second edition. All the natural modalities for all the common ailments and what to expect, so that you don't fear it, you embrace it, and prepare for support for it. And my Instagram page is at Home Sweet Home Birth, but it's for birth in all settings. It's that model of care.
Well, thank you so much. I learned so much, and I know you are even more prepared. Baby number 4, just all the things that you remember going through.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.
We really, really appreciate having you on, and we'll link everything in the show notes where you guys can get in touch with Anne, follow her, learn from her, download all her resources, guides, grab her book. And we are just so thankful for this conversation.
Grateful to be here.
Yeah. Until next time.
Bye. Until next time. Anytime.
We hope you've enjoyed this journey of exploration and learning as much as we have. Before you go, we have a special request for you, our beloved discoverers. We'd be thrilled if you could show your support in a few easy steps. Step 1, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to ring that notification bell so you never miss a moment of discovery. Step 2, if you're listening via Apple Podcasts, please take a moment to rate and review our show. Your feedback means the world to us and helps others discover our podcast too. Step 3, whether you're on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast platform, please share the Discovery Doc podcast with your friends, family, and social networks. It's the best way to spread the joy of discovery. And finally, don't forget to follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at The Discovery Doc. Stay connected with us for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and so much more. Plus, for exclusive content and additional resources, be sure to check out our website at www.thediscoverydoc.com. And while you're there, if you have a burning question or a topic you'd like us to discuss on the show, simply let us know. Thank you, Discoverers, for being part of our incredible journey. Until next time, let's discover together. The content provided in this podcast provides general information and discussions on various topics related to health, wellness, and medical advancements. However, it is essential to understand that the content provided in this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The hosts, guests, and contributors are individuals sharing their personal experiences, opinions, and knowledge in their respective fields. While they strive to provide accurate, up-to-date information, medical knowledge is constantly evolving, and the information presented in this podcast may not always reflect the most current research and medical guidelines. It is crucial to consult with a qualified healthcare professional or medical expert for specific medical concerns. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking medical treatment based on the information presented in this podcast. The Discovery Doc podcast encourages listeners to use their own judgment and discretion while implementing any suggestions, recommendations, or lifestyle changes discussed in this episode. Each individual's medical situation is unique and may work for one, may not be suitable or safe for another. The podcast hosts, guests, and contributors are not liable for any direct, indirect, consequential, or incidental damages or harm that may arise from listening or acting upon the information provided in this podcast. Listeners are responsible for their own health decisions and should exercise caution and seek professional guidance when necessary. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that you have read, understood, and agreed to this medical disclaimer. If you have any questions or concerns about this medical disclaimer, please consult a qualified healthcare professional.